All right, so thank you for coming to this session. I'm Susana Park, one of the doctors from San Diego. So I do my sessions a little differently. It's basically a question and answer session that I do. So I'm going to say a little bit about San Diego Fertility Center, and then I'll open it up to questions. And if there aren't any, there's actually a whole list of questions that I frequently get asked. Okay, so that's my email address in case anybody would like to email me. So what makes San Diego so different? We do have our own in-house egg donor database, as some other centers do. But the reality is it doesn't really matter where your egg donor and surrogate live, because they can monitor wherever they live and then just travel to the center for the actual procedure. Okay, but it is true that if you want to minimize costs, it's easier if you have an egg donor that lives near the clinic, because she just has so many frequent visits. And your surrogate, yep, it would be ideal if she lived near the clinic, but even if she lived, let's say, in Texas, she can monitor in Texas, then fly to the clinic just for the transfer and then fly back. Okay? But any questions? And it could be about anything, not just about our clinic, but even about the process. But it's okay if you don't. Yeah, okay?
Start with the frequently asked.
Yeah. So I get PGS questions a lot, okay? And there's no right or wrong. You just have to ask yourself why you're doing the PGS. And because if you said, well, I have a gender preference, then you have to do the PGS. If your answer is, I want a healthy baby, PGS is not 100% accurate. And it's like the example of that soccer ball, that if you biopsy one place, I may give you a report that says the baby's not normal, but the reality is the baby actually may be normal, and I'm discarding an abnormal embryo, quote unquote, but it's actually a normal embryo, or the converse, that I say your baby's normal and the baby's actually not. So if you've done this long enough, you will all have had this experience where last year I had a single woman come see me, and she said, all I want is one daughter. I said, no problem, she's not infertile, she's just single. And so she did IVF, we did PGS, I got that one girl, single embryo transfer, nailed it the first time, great, she's happy, I'm happy. She's 3 months pregnant, we get a call from her saying, you know, I did my pregnancy test and my daughter has Down syndrome. I'm like, oh. So we saved the cells, I reran her PGS cells, it still came back normal. So that means the place where I biopsied was not a representation of the entire embryo. Okay. The other question I get asked a lot is, how many do I transfer, right? And so many times I have couples that come in here saying, we're going to go with 2, and then by the time they leave this conference, okay, we're going with 1, right? And again, there's no right or wrong. But you have to do some true exploring. Like, why do you want 2? Because if your goal is, well, I think our perfect family would be 2 kids, 1 from each of us, that would be just perfect, then I would say to you, then I think you go for it. Okay, but understanding there's the risk of twin pregnancies with diabetes, high blood pressure, delivering early, possible stay in the neonatal intensive care unit. Those are all risks. But the reality is most twins actually do rather well. Okay, some people want to because it actually costs less because it's 1 surrogate journey versus 2 surrogate journeys. But when I talk to some intended parents and I can feel the understandable trepidation about, but what if we have 2 and 1's not okay and 1's got some issues, then I tell them, then you should transfer just 1, because I think you would feel so guilty if you did transfer 2 and had 2 and 1 ended up having issues. Okay, so a lot of it is really a lot of soul searching as to be honest with yourself, like, how would I really feel? Understand if you want to transfer 2, it also limits your surrogate availability, because there are some surrogates out there who say, oh, I don't care 1 or 2, and there's some surrogates who are adamant about just 1. So your pool of surrogates, which is already small, has now just gotten a little bit smaller.
I have a question. So, cost aside, because we're in Texas and you're in San Diego, and you have a surrogate in Maryland or wherever you're at. I mean, in your experience, is it easier to have them all in one place, or does it really not matter where it is?
It is. So the way I would do it in your situation is, with the egg donor, doesn't matter as much. Okay, so you come to the office, give us sperm. So that's the easy part, right? You get an egg donor. It doesn't have to be local. If cost aside, it doesn't have to be local. She could live in Maryland, Mississippi. It doesn't matter. She monitors wherever she lives. but then she will have to fly to San Diego for the harvest. Okay, so if she's local, she's already at our center, so we do the harvest. To me, the location of the surrogate part, to me, that would be important to me because I would want to go with her to the, maybe not all the pregnancy visits, but at least like the important ones, right, the big ones. So I don't know if I'd want to get in an airplane, go to Maryland. Yeah. So my first priority would be a surrogacy agency in Texas. But if you couldn't find one that you really liked, if you just were kind of mediocre about all of them, then I would say, okay, let's focus on California then. Okay, but I wouldn't send you to the East Coast because you may very well miss the delivery. And your surrogate, let's say you ended up with one in California, again, she monitors wherever city she lives in, and then she just comes to our center for the transfer. But at least it's a little bit easier for you to get to her should there be a pregnancy complication. And what I do for the transfers, because most of the time parents never come back for the transfer, I ask the surrogate, or if there's a representative with her from the agency, and half the times there isn't, I ask them to videotape the transfer. I mean, obviously not her private area, but the ultrasound screen, because it's all under ultrasound guidance. And then I ask her, can you just send the clip to the intended parents? They'd really appreciate it. So it's almost like you were there. And then she saw by the video clip, it's literally 10 seconds, right? So isn't it amazing how fast it is? Yeah. That's the way I would do it. But if you could find one in Maryland, that would be just the most convenient, so you could really be a part of her as she grows and as she develops and she changes.
Yeah, I don't mind maybe splitting from here to another place, but 3 or 4 different places.
It's too much, right?
Yeah,
it is too much.
But like she said, I think the most important part is where the surrogate is.
But to me, I think it is. It may not be to you guys, but
Developing for 9 months.
right. Like the egg donor part is 10 days. So does it really matter that she lives close to you? You're not gonna, I mean, unless it's an open donation, you're not gonna interact with her anyway. But for the surrogate, right, it's 40 weeks, right? So you wanna be, she's growing your baby, so you wanna be close to her and be involved. Like yesterday, I saw an intended parent whose surrogate, she's about to deliver May 9th. And he said she is so proactive, like every other day, she sends him like a text, oh, the baby, it's a boy, oh, he's moving so much today, or like she just, every other day, she gives him an update. And I gotta tell you, that is a rarity. That is not the way most surrogates are, because they're busy with their own lives. But she's just been amazing. Mm-hmm. And he lives here in Austin. She lives in San Diego. He wanted a surrogate near our clinic. I said, okay. But he loves her, and he's already planning his next journey with her because he wants his kids really close. Yeah. So he said he was going to come to San Diego like mid-May and just hang out until she has her baby. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But not everybody can take that much time off from work, right? So I just think it makes more sense to have her near you if you can find a good clinic. I mean, good agency.
Ideally have everything in Houston, Texas. So how would we coordinate that with you?
So then you would come to our center to give us sperm, and then that's it. And I'll take care of the rest, meaning find an egg donor in our data bank, because they're all local. And then we do everything while you're in Houston, but obviously we keep you updated.
And then find a surrogate that lives in Houston.
Mm-hmm. And she monitors in Houston, she does everything in Houston, and then you pay for her to fly for her transfer in San Diego and fly back. It's easy, right? Easy for me to say easy, right? But it's so easy. And then the other common question I get asked is, you know, why you? Why San Diego? Why not Texas? And I can tell you, we are not any better than any other clinic here. We're just not, right? We're not. Are there different success rates? Sure there are, but are they different by like 50%? They're not, right? And every year it's just a little bit different. I can't guarantee that our rates from 2017 is going to be the exact same in 2018, but they're usually more or less about the same. I think what it really comes down to is your chemistry with the clinic or the agency, honestly. And when things go well the first time, it's great. But when things don't go well, that's really when you need that relationship with the clinic or the agency to be honest with you, right? To be compassionate, to be sympathetic, and to brainstorm with you and say, all right, back to the drawing board. Like, let's see what happened. If anything untoward happened, let's go over that. But if not, be honest with you and say, you know, honestly, nothing went wrong, and I just think it's bad luck, right? But giving you the confidence that I truly believe this is going to work. Let's do this for the second transfer. But if that doesn't work, then I think a much more serious conversation has to happen as to, it's because it's very strange for it not to work by transfer number 2. It's very uncommon, okay? So that's where you really need that clinic or that agency who really has your best interest in mind, as opposed to finding you annoying or kind of brushing you off or not returning your calls or your emails. And that's really where that relationship comes in. I mean, and hopefully it works the first time, but the odds are in your favor it will. Right. Any other questions about anything? No? Have you guys been overwhelmed by all the information, or has it kind of been like very logical?
It's been very logical. It's
Oh,
been
good.
a little, I wouldn't say redundant, but there's been some things that have been emphasized, and I'm like, okay, they keep
Yes.
saying this, we really need to pay attention to this. Those kinds of things, I'm like,
Yep,
okay,
yep.
red light thingy.
Yep.
But I've been trying to keep a very like general overview. So what we need, just the basics, the foundation, what we need first, and then things will
Yep.
fall into place as we.
Good, good. You know, what I like about this conference, because we do all of them, is like, for example, San Francisco is just, it's big. And I think it's hard, I think people feel so overwhelmed because like even it's hard for me when people come to the table, like I feel this pressure, like I've got to stop talking because there are 5 people like deep waiting. Whereas here, I think it's nice because even though sometimes there are people waiting, but you know, they don't mind waiting if they're just the next person online, right? But when people see 4 people ahead of them, like, they'll walk, they'll go somewhere else, right? It's like this conference, the size is perfect, it's great, because it really gives you the time to be able to talk to people, take your time with it, and absorb the information and ask your questions. Like in San Francisco, there was no time for questions after the medical panel. It was just, right, right. But you know, everybody ran over their slides, and it was just, yeah. So this is like, I think the size is just great for getting all this information.
This is our first time, so everything's new.
Wow.
People come like more than once that they come.
Most, no, but oh yeah, I've seen some, like one guy said today, he's like, yeah, I saw you at Dallas last year. I'm like, I know, I don't remember you. Yeah. Some people do, but some people like who have come to this conference, they already know like what they want. Like I've had people come up to me and say, I've done my research, I know what I want, this is what I want, like, help me get it done. I'm like, done. Because they've done their research ahead of time. This was just sort of their last minute, let me get all my info, make sure I've made the right decisions, and then off they go. Oh, it'll be a fun journey, guys. Yeah. Yeah, it'll be fun.
They're making it seem, everybody's making it seem very doable. So
Yeah.
I'm excited, nervous, but it's exciting.
Good.
This was a good start. I think we have like homework to do. Like,
Tons, right?
research, yeah. We didn't do the research before coming.
But that's okay. That's okay. Like I have one guy who's done tons of research, but you know, but the problem is in his mind he understood things a certain way, which were not. Some were correct, some were not correct. So he's like trying to, you know, I had to tell him like, but this is not right. It's this and this. He's like, oh, right. So now he's got to sort of undo everything in his head and kind of reconfigure it properly. So sometimes it's a good thing to come in with an open slate.
Yeah, we did come in with it. Okay. I mean, it's commonsensical stuff, but at
Yeah.
the same time, it's a lot of information.
Yep.
Just like how you mentioned, there's a lot of patterns that I've noticed.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the same things that are being said over and over, but then there's also the same things that are not said the same way.
Yes.
So
Yes.
the genetic testing.
Yes.
pre and
Oh,
before,
yeah.
pre and
Yes.
post,
Yes. Yeah.
embryonic stages, and then the other piece is either a full service or not full service, and so
Oh,
those
yes.
are the elements that we really needed.
Yep.
And then like the insurance pieces too. So some are like, you know, it is a big deal, but in Texas it's not a big deal. And it's just differences in opinions. And so just like, you know, you would go to any provider,
Mm-hmm.
this provider has this thought process based on their training, and this provider has a different thought
Yep.
process.
Yep.
So it's all
Yep.
about how they're interpreting and their
Absolutely.
experiences.
Yep. Absolutely.
So deciphering all that is
It makes it confusing. I know. But my only advice would be, like, I know ORM very well, and they're very pro PGS, right? But that's not wrong, right? We just interpret the data very differently. And in our 2017 data, PGS versus no PGS, egg donor surrogate, we saw no difference in pregnancy rates or miscarriage rates. Okay, so for us, our data shows no difference. But I fully respect that for them, I assume they see a difference, or why would you do it, right? But my advice would be, if you go to ORM, I advise that you should do the PGS, because that's the culture there. I think the harder part is when you go to a clinic and you know that they lean one way and you're leaning the other way, you may feel a little uncomfortable because everybody there is going to question why you're going this way when they advise you to go this way. So that would be my only advice. But it's not right or wrong, right? It's just like when you go to internists, you know how you can pay your annual fee and get like private care versus, you know, you just go with your insurance, right? What's it called? Like concierge service, right? But neither is wrong for choosing concierge and not choosing concierge. In the end, you're still going to get good medical care, but the person who didn't choose concierge may have to wait a little bit longer to hear back from the physician versus the person who paid for the concierge service, right? But ultimately, you're going to be at the same place, a healthy person, right? It's the same thing. It's not right or wrong. It's just, you know, yeah. Yeah, and if anybody tells you it's right or wrong, then I don't think that that's fair. I think that's very dishonest.